Stronger,
Imagine a world without choices.
stronger,
Imagine you can't make your own decision. That wouldn't be a world for me. That wouldn't be a world for you. You, I see.
Tell them we're gonna be stronger. Together we can make it right. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. Gonna be stronger together. Time we all just unify. Our purpose is a better Jamaica for you and I. It is a natural right for every human being to be free. Free, so free. So the government is there to protect you and me. The objective is to liberate the citizens from colonial bondage, them regulation, them taxation. Rob Jamaica, we in the
Welcome to the UIC. Welcome to the UIC Liberty TV. My name is B, your host for about 30 minutes or so. Today I'm here to communicate with the Jamaican people about digital currency, really. Well, not necessarily digital currency like Bitcoin and all that good stuff. I want to level the language down. I would like to speak to the Jamaican people as it relates to where we are actually going digitally. For instance, where are we actually about to go should we take on a fully digital system? And that is a very interesting topic. I would guess that most people have not really thought about it. When we hear that, okay, Jamaica has decided to adopt a fully digital system where persons will no longer have access to cash. Now, let me throw my disclaimer out there. I am in no way against having a centralized digital currency in our country. However, my question is, where are we going with this as it relates to those who will be controlling the digital system in Jamaica? Now, I'm trying to stay away from the jargons because I think that we've had enough of that. So let us level things down a little bit and let us just make it, right? Where are we going? We have just observe your environment. Observe your environment, observe Jamaica as you walk to and fro. Observe what is happening with the people in Jamaica overall. This is the people's party, so we have to focus on the people, right? Observe the people who are actually who we rely on a daily basis. Observe their age, observe their condition, right? That is the first thing we need to do, right? So let us take it from mama on the street, right? I have a little lady in the market who I always go to for my sea musk and all those good stuff. There is in no way that this lady will be able to manage an online platform. And of course, you'll say that, okay, she must have kids. Fact of the matter is, she has no kids in her corner, right? I have a gentleman down, I won't say where, but he sells fruits. It's a friend of mine, sells fruits, and I always purchase fruits from him, right? He relies on cash. Yes, he does, right? On a daily basis, we rely on cash. Now imagine, I would like for everybody to just imagine that we filter out all cash with this on this using the speed that we're trying to get rid of cash. We filter it out. Ask yourself, who will it benefit? Will it really benefit us, the people? There should be someone coming on with me. I'm not sure where they are at the moment. Oh, Mr. P,
Yes, I'm here, man. I'm here.
any thoughts on the topic that I've raised? Just to get this going.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, what you're talking about is the real, raw, day to day impact of a cashless society on the Jamaican public. If you think about it, who will it benefit most if tomorrow we woke up and everything was cashless? Only the companies, the big companies who have the infrastructure in place will be able to do business on a normal day-to-day basis. And um, the average young person who can manage a smartphone and stuff will be able to use that. They can load the money onto their phone and they can use that. Of course, they're going to push it towards the Jamdex, right? Which means you get the app on your phone and you get used to that. So I believe roughly about 60 to 70% of the Jamaican population would be able to jump on that within a 3 to 6 months window. But the other 30 to 40% of the nation would be left out in the cold. We're talking about primarily the senior citizens, those above the age of 50, will have some difficulties. And but the big businesses will be able to make quick conversion to entice and attract and reach many customers. And so they'll be okay. The small man now on the corner, he will find himself completely locked out of the economy as a retail outlet, as a sales outlet. He'll be able to buy if he has his phone and can download their app and use it. He can buy something, but his ability to earn would have been cut off because he will not be in a position to quickly engage on the sales side of the transaction. Is the infrastructure just wouldn't be there for him, and those are basic day-to-day concerns I'm talking about. Is that where you're going with this?
Okay, right there. Wonderfully explained. Now, I would like to open up another door of imagination. Happened as yet, but it is in the making, right? And I'm just going to say it out loud. I'm just going to say it straight, right? Understand that if we should have a fully digital system tomorrow morning, it will be the start of a new era of slavery. And you're probably gasping like, oh my God, why did he say that? I'd like for you to understand the perimeters surrounding a fully digitalized system. And should that fully digitalized system be controlled by a corrupt few? We always speak about our colonial masters, and I think that we're actually taking these things lightly in Jamaica. Now, imagine that I am a central bank, right? And I have a few government agencies that, pretty much pass through and they, do their regular business. But they dictate to me what I do with the money that passes through my system. I would like for you to stay on track here. Now, do you understand that they can limit where you purchase? Or I'm the central bank, right? So I can limit where you purchase. So my friend, you live downtown, yeah, and some of the downtown people them like to go uptown and say, okay, we are gonna purchase this particular item because I only uptown it there. Do you understand that they can limit you by what? How could they limit you? Because you're digital, because they have a fully digital system, they can decide that, okay, you can only shop downtown based on your social credit score. Now, your social credit score, how is it attained? Let me go into how it is attained. let's say you did borrow a loan a few years back and you never really pay it off that good. You managed to pay it off, but you never pay it off that good. That affects your social credit score. This will be used to determine where or how society sees you or how your government sees you, right? Now, I hope I'm on the right track here. Can you let me know if you believe I'm on the right track here, Mr. Patterson?
Oh, absolutely. You are on the right track. For sure. I mean, once you're on a digital system, it's programmable, it's trackable, unique to you. Like right now, if I give you $1,000 or $1,000,000, when I give you that $1,000,000, I have no idea what you do with it. If you go and you buy a box lunch here, so a new tire for your car here, so a parts over there, so a piece of furniture, I have no idea, or the government has no idea what you have done. If, however, somebody give you $1,000,000 digital dollar, every digit of that dollar is traceable. So when you go and you want to buy something from this location or that location, before you even make the transaction, that information will be sent to the central processing unit, and it says, okay, Vincenzo Crawford is trying to buy a tire from Tire Warehouse. Is he permitted to do that? Yes. Good. Vincenzo Crawford is trying to buy a patty from Miss Matty. And it says, is he permitted to do this? They say, hold on. Miss Matty is not tax compliant. Miss Matty has not registered her business with the government. Miss Matty has not bought into the system that we want Miss Matty to buy into. So no, he's not allowed to buy from Miss Matty. Or in other words, Miss Matty is not allowed to sell him. So him couldn't buy the patty from her and she couldn't get the money from him because she didn't meet the requirements, or vice versa. They said, okay, Vincenzo Crawford has been spending too much money on patties, and we think he must only have one patty a day. He must only have one patty a day, and he has bought 3 patties already. So no more patty for Vincenzo. Or we don't want our kids to drink sugary drink. So if they're buying a sugary drink, no. Or we don't want you to buy something from a particular medical practitioner because they practice holistic medicine. We only want you to buy pharmaceutical medicine. So no. So they're going to have a complete microscopic, godlike control over our lives. That's where you're going, right?
Yes, right there, Mr. Patterson. Right there. Now, I would like to stretch the boundaries just a little bit further, right? And I would like for you to imagine that because you have been purchasing from a particular set of people, right? You acquire funds to your account, or based on the way you spend money, you acquire some funds to your account, and that funds, it can be expired. I would like for you to imagine that. Now, if you work for me as a small man, right, and I pay you, let's say $10,000, right, that's cash in your hand. Even if I send it to your account, that is yours. But under fully digital system, right, what if the corrupt few believe at some point, because based on what has happened over the past few years, you cannot say that they will not do. There's no possible way. You cannot say that they will never do. Everything is on the table right now, right? We expect anything from them at this point. Now, all I'm saying is, what if the funds that you acquire could be expired? How would you treat with that? Do you realize that your negotiating power over your financial growth will be controlled not by you, but by those who are set over you? So now we're going to have the slave to master complex. And guess what? This will never be reversed. I'm wondering if people are actually seeing this. If we sit back, a lot of people are here, they're saying that no, that not gonna happen, or It have to happen. We have to go digital. Get with it. It's a new age. I totally understand how you feel. You just can't bother with the stress. Yeah. You just want to just live your life. But in truth and in fact, though, if we should go fully digital and we have persons controlling how we spend, what we spend on, where we spend, a lot of you are on Instagram, Facebook, and you're selling your little thing to survive, right? Not even enough to pay tax out. Let's go there. Yeah. Do you understand that every single penny will be accounted for? And okay, we need tax to run the country. Don't get me wrong, because the UIC supports us collecting tax. But it's how that tax is collected, right? And how it is actually regulated. You see? Now, if we allow this digital system to fly by those who we currently have in power, understand that this will be a new era of slavery. And we will never, ever, your kids will never, ever be free. Because what we're heading to is to the point of owning nothing and being happy. I am sure that some of you have heard that before. Could you remind me if it was said by Bill Gates or if it's a part of the 2030 vision, Mr.
It's
Patterson?
the World Economic Forum. Those guys who are committed to this kind of way. So their plan is a world where you own nothing and you're happy, which is pretty much what they would call a slave. A slave owns nothing. So in a slave environment, your master decide what you eat, where you live, what you wear, when you work, how long you work for, and what free time you have. Your master decide that. They want to bring us to a modern version of that, where they control everything. But you said two things, Vincent, so I want to jump on. One is the expiration of money. Now, the way that works particularly is when let's say you have a COVID situation like we had before, and they say they want to lock you down, and then they want to give you some government money to spend. Okay, so they lock you down, like you see in some countries, more than Jamaica. Jamaica didn't have much money to give, but in other countries they gave people a regular amount every month or every week. Now, when they give you that money, they can put an expiry date on it in their programmable system and say you have to spend this money within 3 days or 4 days. So that creates anxiety and control over you because you have to spend it in the time frame they say. So you can't save it. And they can say this money must not be used to pay down debt. In COVID time, many people in other countries that got these money use it to pay down debt, which they didn't want them to do. They wanted them to spend it on consumer goods, particularly with big companies like Amazon and so on. So what they're going to do next time they have this kind of so-called pandemic, they'll say, okay, we're giving you $1,000. You need to spend it within 3 days, and you can only spend it at, for example, an Amazon store or at a particular food store that they certify or a particular other establishment that they certify. So basically, they're getting microscopic control over what you can do, even and especially in a so-called pandemic. So they're going to create conditions of emergencies so they can tighten things around you. But they want to have this money, this digital money in place that when they want you to do something, you're more inclined to do it. I'll give you one quick example. Remember during the pandemic, the government of Jamaica said, go and take the vaccine because we say it's good for you. And you saw how aggressive and dictatorial he was. Now, if he had the power to turn off
your money. Yep.
If you don't go and take it, I'm going to lock off your money. And more people would have rushed and took it. We in Jamaica
would have had 100% vaccination, Mr. Patterson.
Absolutely. So that is their goal, to be able to bend us quickly. Now, the other side to what you said, you mentioned the tax level and the taxation. What this will allow them to do, right now, government has an insatiable appetite for tax. the typical Jamaican who makes more than one point, not typical, but any Jamaican who makes more than 1.5 million a year pays an ordinary taxation that works out to about 15% before GCT. GCT is another 15%. If you use a basic math and not the real math, let's call it roughly about 25 to 30% you're paying there combined. If you're over 1.5 million, there's also the 25% or more taxes going up to 30. So let's say another 25% on. So you're roughly, somewhere between 35 and 50%. Then you have other taxations like your property tax if you own a piece of property, your licensing fees and other stuff that you have to pay for. So with the digital currency, you now cannot escape any at all. So there are many small businesses, micro operators, micro people who do look at something here and get cash and so on.
Mm-hmm.
No more of that. The moment the system comes in, every single digital dollar you make, you will pay the maximum tax. And not only that, when they're ready to increase that tax, you have no recourse. You have to. You cannot escape it at all. So watch me now. When are you a slave? You're a slave when somebody has 100% control of your income. That's when you're a slave. When somebody else has 100% control of your income, you're a slave. Now, right now, government controls somewhere between 30 and 50% of your income in taxes, depending on your jurisdiction and your income level, between 30 and 50%. When the digital currency come in, they will have access to 100% of your income. So let's say you're making under 1.5 million and your taxes work out to about 25% with GCT impact, right? Let's say 25, 30%. Yeah. Then they say, if you make more than 1.5 million, we want to tax you, let's say another 25. And if you go up to 3 million, it goes to 30%. If you go up to 4 million, it goes up to 60%. What it means is they can tax you into poverty if they wish. And so the only way you pay a low level of tax is if you do not elevate yourself and earn more. So now they create a broad-based society of low-income earners, low wages, and have us all subsisting near the bottom and they're at the top dictating. And the last point I'm going to make, we're moving to a global society, right? Where they're going to have a global governance, where they say they want to protect us from climate change and all of that. So what they're going to do now is have a global tax, a climate change tax. So they'll now have a global tax. So you're paying your 25, 30, 40, 50% in Jamaica. And then they say you need to pay another 5% or whatever the number is to give that money to the global gods. So now they'll be able to tax you. It might start out at 3%, for example, and in a year or two time, it's 4%. In 5 or 6 years, it's 8 or 9%. Just like when the GCT first came in, it was 7%, and today it is now 15%. You follow me?
Yes, totally. And I mean, you're absolutely on point. You see? And I want to go back to that point where we say where the World Economic Forum mentioned that you will own nothing and be happy. Expand your mind, my friends. Who owns nothing and be happy? What type of person owns nothing and is still happy? Because the funny thing is, let's take us as we're a social species, but we're kind of selfish. You see, our ego tend to get in the way of things, and that is why you see a man can have 50 Benz in him yard, and Miss Jane over there so hungry. You see, and him no give her not even a party. You understand what I'm saying? Or if he's supposed to expend any of his release any of his wealth, he will do it in a big way that will make him become famous and even make him more money. You see? So we do not have the capacity to own nothing and be happy. That sounds like force and fraud, which the UIC is not an advocate of. You see? So I would like to take this opportunity to speak again about our rally. the rally has been announced already, right, Mr.
Yeah,
Patterson?
yes, it has. Yes.
Yes. So we have a rally coming up. And the UIC, as you realize, that we're actually vying for true and good governance in Jamaica. Who's going to bring that about? The persons who's vying for the position, right? The UIC. And so before you disregard the UIC and what the UIC has to offer, I would encourage each and every one of you, because we are not begging people to join us. What we are asking people to do is to pay attention to the information. We are willing to educate you, not for you to close your eyes and walk into a hole. Yeah. What we would like for you to do is to look at our manifesto, look at what we actually advocate for, look at the things that we're actually doing within Jamaica. Of course, we are on media blackout. You see, we have been doing a lot of things about around Jamaica, but it's not being identified by the two colonial parties, media houses. You see, and so that is what we're up against. And so we're trying to use this platform. But how many persons come on this platform? I'm using this opportunity, yeah, to invite you to the rally that we will have. And Mr. Patterson will give you a more in-depth detail on this rally right now before we end this live stream.
Sure. So on June 10th, which is this Saturday at 4 p.m., we meet at the Mandela Park. Yeah. So that's in Halfway Tree. People will be coming from all over the place. We have a star-studded lineup of entertainers and performers who will be a part of the whole thing, because Jamaican people love music. So we'll have music and we'll have entertainment. But most importantly, we're going to share with you the vision, mission, values, objectives, and plans of the UIC. We're going to speak to the current issues affecting the nation, whether it has to do with teachers' salary, or it has to do with politicians trying to give themselves a big pay raise, or police officers not being able to get their back pay, much more a good pay, or it has to do with our firefighters who are suffering because of various forms of injustices, or our nurses or midwives who have been tricked into being told they're getting a 20% increase when in fact it's just their additional allowances that have been rolled into their pay and then told they're given a 20% increase, and then those allowances then become taxable. So all kind of trickery is going on in this governance model. We also want to make sure you're not tricked again into voting PNP just because you're now fed up with the JLP. You've been doing that for 80 years. So you've been voting between the two. So they trick you. They trick you into voting for one or the other, because it doesn't matter which of the two you vote for. You're always voting for the PSOJ oligarchs. So the UIC is going to make sure you fully understand how the system set, how the system work, and what the UIC is going to do to fix it. From good governance, from a new constitution, from reform to education, and most importantly, the return of your land. We're going to explain our land reform policy, which we call land reparation, because the land actually belongs to you. It was stolen from your ancestors, and so you have lost out on that generational wealth. So we're going to make sure you understand how the UIC is going to return the land to every Jamaican so that all of us become property owners free of charge when it comes onto the land. We're going to explain to you our education plan, which will make government a proper regulator and education a true public institution. We're going to explain the modification of our healthcare system, and we'll move away from a heavily import pharmaceutical dependent medical big pharma solution to preventive medicine, to indigenous medicine, to holistic medicine that is going to ensure a proper balance. We're going to explain our organic farming solution that will make Jamaica the organic food capital of the world, and how we're going to structure that so it brings dividends to all Jamaicans, because again, the land belongs to you. So any value, any benefit that comes out of that land, a portion of it is yours by right. So come out on June 10th, 4 p.m. at Mandela Park, where you'll hear the full spread of how the UIC is going to make Jamaica a first-class country.
Wonderful. And I hope everybody have actually acquired that information. I want to establish some level of understanding before I leave. and I'm speaking to the Jamaican people right now. I understand. I understand what it's like to, and matter of fact, I recently truly understood this concept that I'm about to explain to you. Now, here's a little story. I have a child, right? And I do not believe in introducing children to politics or, plugging too much of our worldviews in their head from an early age, right? Now, my child, for some reason, because my child have been she has been hearing me speaking about the UIC, like on lives like this. She's in the other room and she's hearing me talking about the UIC. I heard her the other day say, Daddy, the UIC is going to take over Jamaica, right? She said that, right? She said the UIC is going to take over Jamaica. And those policemen who we saw dilly, because she saw some policemen dilly in the road while I was coming home with her. She said those policemen who's dilly in the road who can cause accidents. We're gonna ensure that policemen set example and don't do those things, right? And I was so surprised that she said that with such understanding
Mhm.
of what the UIC stood for. What am I saying? I do not introduce the UIC to her like, baby, UIC is this, UIC is that. She's observing from her environment. So, with that, I'm saying, I understand you may have been raised in a condition where, especially, you would have seen motorcades in your area.
Mm.
Yeah, you see JLP on the excitement and the PNP on the excitement on the motorcade and all of that. And so you growing up, it's like a religion in your head now. Yeah, it's like somebody trying to tell you God is not real. Like, oh my God, I was raised in a Christian home. I mean, and then you're gonna come tell me that God is not real. You can't tell me that. You understand what I'm saying? The information will be totally rejected. And I'm not saying God is not real. It's just an example. It's just an example. Okay, because I'm a spiritual guy. All right. Now, all I'm saying to you is, regardless of the condition that you've been raised and the information that you would have received, and these are most times secondary information, kind of like a hidden curriculum, right? So it's not a case when somebody would have told you who to vote for, but you see a whole community a vote for JLP or a whole community a vote for PNP. Many of you do not know why you vote. Right now, most of you know why you're not voting, but many of you don't even know why you should vote. You see, and so I'm taking this opportunity, right, with this understanding to encourage you all to just come out for the information.
Sir,
Come out, come lend thy ears, come listen. And if you listen and what we're actually saying, yeah, makes sense. Not for us to say you're gonna sleep with your door open and it has no substance. Yeah. But for us to actually give you where we can start, where we will meet in the middle, where we will end, how it will be accomplished. Yeah. And the method through which we can actually, or the resources that we think we can actually implement or utilize to make it happen.
so Vincenzo,
Just that alone can help you to make up your mind as it relates to whether or not you should vote and who to vote for in the next coming election. And I rest it there.
excellent.
You want to say something, Mr. Patterson?
Yeah, there's a young lady in the audience. Her name is Sonia Ellis, and she is very concerned that the UIC may be just like the other parties because we're talking and we're sharing our plans and ideas, and she's saying, "How do we know that you guys are not going to come in? You're going to say these things that maybe we like to hear, and maybe it sounds good to us, but." When we elect you, you might just turn out to be the same as the other guys. Now, my response to that
Good question.
You know,
Can I respond
sure.
before you,
Go
sir?
ahead. Go ahead. Yes.
The fact of the matter is, I understand your concern. It's a very valid concern, my friend. But you can tell me which one of the other parties has ever invited you for education?
Done.
Should I put up my little finger? I don't know. I don't want to do that. But I mean, which one of the other parties? You can answer me in the comment section. Which one of the other two major political parties have actually invited you, not necessarily to say, "Oh, come vote for us," but invited you for the education to say, "This is what we would like for you to understand about your country, about the Constitution, about your rights as a Jamaican citizen." Which one are the other parties? If I can remember, I remember those people taking civics out of school.
Yes. Yes.
So you can go ahead if you have something to say on
No, I
that
mean
matter,
you're doing
Mr.
a great
Bradley.
job. I mean, I normally explain to people that the truth of the matter is anything you do in life that is worth doing involves an element of risk. For example, if you
Mhm.
decide that you want to become a medical doctor, you have to take the risk of deciding on the path and pursuing the studies. And you have no idea if you're going to successfully pass and become what you want, right? You have to take the risk and apply for a job. You might not get it. But let's look at the risk you're taking with the UIC. Right now, I see three options before all of us. Every Jamaican has only three options. Option number one is that you vote for one of the two colonial parties. That's option number one. Now, if you want to weigh any option, you have to look at the history associated. So you can say, what is the likely outcome of me voting for one of the two? You have 80 years of history to look at. You can look back at 80 years and say, how have they performed over the last 80 years? And so that should tell you the likely future outcome. If I vote for them again, it is very likely
Gonna be the same
the
thing.
thing because I have 80 years of
Yeah.
history. I have 80 years of history that says they will fail. For example, the PNP, which is vying to take government right now from the JLP, they have had 18 and a half years straight. Did they give you back the land that was owing to you? No. Did they fix the education system and teacher salary and police salary and nurses salary? No. Did they put in place a good road network infrastructure? Did they give you proper garbage collection so that you don't have all your drains plug up and when rain fall? No. So even though they had 18 years straight in office, 18 and a half years, the PNP has failed you. Now the JLP, they were the first party to ever take government in Jamaica. In 1944, they were the first party to be elected, and they had 10 years straight to set the pace and to make you confident to vote for them again. After they got elected twice, the people said, no, we don't want you, and they turned to the PNP. In independence, 1962, the JLP again was the first party given a chance to lead Jamaica at independence. And now, remember, the first period was self-governance, but the British was still there as a governor. In 1962 now, we take away the governor and we say, you run things. So the JLP had the first 10 years again. So that's 20 years. The first 10 over years up, and they have the first 10 years. And again, they failed us. So we know that voting for them will lead to the same outcome. Now, what is the second option? The second option is that you do what the vast majority of Jamaicans have been doing: no longer vote. So more and more Jamaicans are opting to no longer vote. Mr. Crawford, what will happen when a person when let's say 70% of us decide not to vote? What will be the outcome of that?
It will be a default.
Yes, we would give the other
You get the
30%
same
the
result.
same result.
You get the same parties
Exactly.
because you're not exercising your democratic right,
So you're not changing anything.
right?
So by not voting,
No.
you don't change anything. You simply ensure that the minority will elect the government that governs you. So if you vote for one of the two, you get the same thing. If you don't vote, you get the same thing. So your third option now is to vote for the UIC and give the UIC a chance. But here is the kicker in all of this. The UIC is unlike those two parties. We will not get $300 million like they did from the PSOJ oligarchs to buy your votes. So we will not get the money from the PSOJ oligarchs to go around and give out t-shirts and caps and armbands, to buy food and drinks and have entertaining activities. We will not have the money to go around and put $5,000 in a t-shirt and push in your hand. We won't be able to buy you a few sheets of zinc and some cement or a goat or whatever. So what will happen is, the only way the UIC is going to be elected is if you actually do more than vote. You have to do three things. One, you have to join the UIC. When you join the UIC, you now become a part of the family so that you can get regular updates and information and be a part of the solution. Number two, you have to volunteer. And volunteer can be as simple as spreading the word. And number three, you have to donate. So we have the funds to engage in an active campaign. And number four, very important, either you become a candidate yourself, because we need candidates. We need more candidates. So don't just say, where are the candidates? What you should say is, can I be a candidate? Or I know somebody that I'm going to convince to be a candidate. Maybe you know somebody at work who, based on his or her behavior, you're certain that that person would make a good candidate. You need to help them to come forward and to put forward their application and say, I want to be a candidate. So you have to become a part of the solution. Don't just be a bystander. Don't just sit on the sideline and say, oh, what the UIC I do? Oh, what am I do? What the UIC there? Instead, what you want to do is to say, UIC is me. The UIC is my party. The UIC is my movement. And here's what I'm going to do to make sure that the UIC wins the next election. What do you say to that, Mr. Crawford?
I agree totally, Mr. Patterson. I would like to say something to Miss Sonia Ellis, and I really like persons who are critical. That. I hope you're not trolling, right? Because I really like when persons are critical. She mentioned that the invitation for education is no different from the political from a political. It can be a political strategy. You see, basically, she said it in her own words. The truth is, my friend, we told you how a country should be run if you're ever going to be a truly sovereign nation, right? Whereby the other party had never told you that. Our system model is set up in that way, which allows the people to pretty much own their government. So they are basically, under the UIC system of governance, anybody, even the man out the road, yeah? And that's why I don't think you have read our constitution at all. Even the man out the road, our manifesto, I should say, even the man out the road can actually get up, right? And if you believe that this madman is the best fit to run the UIC, you can actually vote that madman in. Am I wrong or am I right, Mr. Patterson?
You're quite right. You're quite right.
That is the UIC way, right? Not where you have a selected few, right, who select them one another and excessive nepotism is involved, right? And you down there in a wonderland, I wonder when me I go become rich, especially in this new digitalized system that's coming up, right? And not that the time you are gonna have the increase in, yo, me have to reach one day, you know. Me have to reach one day. There are so many persons saying that and it's not possible. Yeah, because they're not even able to earn at their maximum potential in the first place. You understand what I'm saying? The true system of governance, my friend, where you will actually have access to your to being truly sovereign individually and as a nation, is where you do not have private sector organizations funding government and gaining favor over the people who's actually tax paying citizens. Because even my child pay tax when my child purchase a pencil, right? This is a heavily taxed country. You understand what I'm saying? And yet you have private sector organizations pretty much pumping money in the government. So let me give you a scenario here, right? Let's say Mr. Chin, right? He's a big baller in the private sector organization. One couple you know, what do you call it? Um Supermarkets. Why that takes a long to fall. So he won couple supermarkets and he fund the government. You think he's funding the government for nothing? He's gonna gain privileges. Don't it, Sonny? I'm speaking to Mrs. Ellis now, right? That's her name, right? He's going to gain certain privileges. Now, the privileges would be to bring in certain goods in the country, let's say that, right? At a very low cost, little to nothing. You as a small business owner, do you think that you will be able to compete with Mr. Chin as it relates to price of goods? Mr. Chin will always have the price of the goods above you. Therefore, when you're selling your goods, you have to sell your goods at a price, right? So much close to Mr. Chin whenever pay the duty where you actually pay for your goods. And that impact the country on such a mass level whereby you can't even employ somebody to sit in your shop. You see? Because you're gonna have to do it yourself. Unless you're gonna raise up your goods to an excessive amount, yeah, where persons would rather go to Mr. Chin on any given day. You see? And then basically you wouldn't make any money. What am I saying is, if the government rely on the tax of the country to run the country and stop being greedy, the country can run good. And we're telling you this to your face, my friend.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's Vincenzo.
Yeah.
It's $2 billion, right? I mean, there's enough money. The money the government takes in right now is enough to run the country very, very well.
Very well.
It's just that we're wasting, or rather stealing, a lot of that money. Now, remember, this is what the private sector does, right? The private sector.
Just before you move on, to that level, Mr. Patterson, please hold your thought. I'm sorry to cut you. What I'm saying to Sonia is, we're telling you that the private sector organization should not own your government. We're telling you that the people should own their government. We're telling you that. We're demonstrating by not taking funding from private sector organizations, but instead we allow the diaspora and those who are locally willing to give to fund our little movements that we are actually moving around. And we're still here on the battlefield. Yeah?
I wanted to take some more comments though from others, because based on Miss Ellis's comments, I can see that she's not really looking for answers per se. She's
not listening, is she?
Really, what her narrative, and I can tell you what her narrative is. Her narrative is that there's no point in us changing because she has gotten a good education from the system. And by the way, what she considers a good education might just be the kind of education that's needed to keep the system that we have. And she says her parents had small business and they were fine. She says you talking about inviting people to come and learn is the same thing as saying vote for me. She really, her idea is you're no different, and there's nothing you can say to convince her that you're any different, which is fine. That's her right.
But we weren't never quite trying to convince in the first place, you know. Remember when I said that we're not begging persons or we're not buying persons to vote for us. We will never come to you and put $5,000 in your hand and say vote for the UIC.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
So call it a strategy if you want.
Yeah.
You understand?
It is a strategy.
Right.
Crawford, watch this. Here's our strategy. Just so Miss Ellis and anybody knows. Our strategy is to convince the Jamaican people that what they have right now is bad governance. Now, we really shouldn't have to do that because they should be able to see it very clearly because it's manifested in every area. So our strategy is to explain to you that bad governance is Jamaica's problem. The second part of our strategy is to let you see what is causing that bad governance, which is the trick of our colonial masters which has filtered through the partisan politics to divide us, distract us, so they can extract our wealth from us. So we want to make sure you understand that. That's strategy number 2. Strategy number 3, we want to make sure you understand that if you continue to allow the private sector organization oligarchs to own the 2 political parties and by extension own your government, then you're going to fail, because the government will be working for them and never for we the people. So that's strategy number 3 or 4. Strategy number 5 is to convince you that it's in your best interest to own your political party and own the government. So if you own the government, then it's now going to work for you. Now, if we succeed in that strategy, the end result is this. Jamaica ends up with a new system of governance. What does that system of governance do? It will emasculate political parties and empower the citizens. So now, instead of having a government model where the politician is above you and on top of you, and those who funded the politician controls them and by extension controls you, you will now have a system where you control the politician and the politician is forced by the system to work in your best interest. Now the question is, do you want that or not?
That is very solid, and that's a very solid question. I think that Sonia is a part of the few who would have gotten it kind of goodish. It was kind of things kind of free flowish for her. Not to say that she never had challenges,
Yeah.
But and that goes back to what I was saying. Even though we're a social species, we're kind of selfish. We're kind of egotistical.
Yeah.
You understand? So and on that account, Sonia, you should understand that owning what when you call it, owning nothing and being happy. I don't think you could live in that world, which goes back to the topic that we were speaking about, going fully digital, having a fully digital system and how we'll actually survive in that as a people. You see? So just judging by your comments, my friend, you would have gotten it a little bit good, but understand that a lot of persons, they were never able to acquire or be in the position that you were. They were never raised in that position. You understand what I'm saying? And you cannot say that all of them lazy. Because based on the effort, I'm a guy like this. I put out effort matchless. And based on the effort that I have put out, in my lifetime, I think I would have been a multi-billionaire by now. You understand what I'm saying? We have a system which keeps the people subjected and impoverished, and that is why most persons, once they get to go overseas and they start to gain a certain little bit more currency, they come here and build house. You understand? Sonia, these things are right in your face, my friend. You understand? I'm not questioning your intelligence or you're not in any way, but I'm just saying these things are right in our faces. We see a little man get up and he go overseas and he go work in a Subway or he go work in a Popeyes. You understand? Or he go work at Burger King, or McDonald's, I should say, right? And he come back and he build house. Well, you have a man here, a teacher for how much years are still in a student loan debt. Yeah? You have people here who have been like, for instance, they're not for instance, I'm speaking facts here. Yeah. People who are on the street picking up garbage overseas versus people who are here picking up garbage. A person overseas picking up garbage can come back here and build a house. Am I wrong or am I right here?
You're so right. Let's
but you cannot build a house by your own land.
Let's move on from Miss Sonia, though. I think there are others who want their questions answered. I see Crystal G. What measures will you take against stuffing of ballot boxes, which have been a common practice over time? I can't tell you, Crystal, what we're going to do, because the enemy will then know exactly what our plan is and how we're going to do it. So just bear in mind that we do have a plan to deal with that. Miss Sonia Kildare is saying, people on the ground is saying that they need to see more UIC people. What do you have to say about that, Mr. Crawford?
So I was kind of caught up in the comments. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, no worries.
Yeah, because I was reading Crystal's comment.
Okay.
She said she wants her question answered. As it relates to the ballot box, I think in the future, I cannot really speak directly to it because we're not really there. But I think in the future, we can, the digital, having a digital aspect to voting, yeah, which would also incorporate people, persons in the diaspora, because they're also Jamaicans, are they not? Shouldn't they have a right to take part in the voting process? You understand? This should have been long on the way to attend to the rights of the people than to want to kind of, suffocate the people financially by implementing a financial digital system that will not benefit everybody but only persons who are at the top echelons of society. You understand what I'm saying? So I think that in the future, implementation of voting digitally would make a lot more sense rather than persons voting, going to the polls and,
Yeah.
ballot boxes and all
Yeah.
that
So what
stuff.
I think she's talking about now, though, in terms of in the next election, I mean, Jamaica's had a history of,
Oh, I thought she was asking what we'll do
yeah,
about it in the
I
future.
think she might mean the present because she's worried that the UIC might lose a seat, not because we didn't get the votes, but because of malpractice or corruption, at the ballot.
Oh, okay.
Here. But
Let
that's
me answer
okay.
that.
I don't want us to answer because I don't want them to know what our approach is going to be to solve the
Okay.
problem. We don't want the enemy to know how we're going to solve the one. But we have a plan for
Right.
it. But to Sonia's question, people on the ground are saying they need to see more of the UIC people. What do you have to say about that?
We are out here, my friends, but more of the people mean more of the people out there. Yeah. More of you. Yeah. Now, I am parish manager for Manchester, right? I would love to see some councillors coming out of the woodwork. We have a few councillors, but would like to see more. And would like to see persons who support those councillors. You understand? I understand the fear factor, yeah, because the two major political parties have been known to be a little bit tyrannical when it comes down to politics and election times and all those things. You understand what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, we are a political party out here as well. Now, fully registered, fully ready to take on the road, fully ready to actually benefit the UIC, the people, right? Because the UIC party is actually the people's party.
Yeah.
So the UIC is out here ready for you to take part, yeah, as a member of the UIC. You can go online and sign up as a member of the United Independence Congress because it's the People's Party. We are not partisan to any one of the anybody here in Jamaica who is a citizen of Jamaica, especially upstanding citizens of Jamaica. You understand what I'm saying? So it will take your effort and your interest and your desire to actually change Jamaica. You see, by joining the United Independence Congress, even if you don't want to be a councillor, even if you don't want to be an MP, buy one of our shirt. We announce that we have a rally. Come to the rally. Even if you don't want to be seen in our blue, pull up the rally. We have information offering. You understand?
Yes. So one of the
So
one
that
of
is
the
my answer
things.
to that.
Thank you. One of the reason why people are saying they need to see more UIC people is that they judge us based on the other two parties that they're familiar with. So, for example, in the last election, the last 2020 election, the PSOJ oligarchs gave the two parties over $300 million. 300 million. You know how big 300 million is? So
A
the
whole
so the
lot.
PS, so the PSOJ oligarchs gave the two parties for just a few weeks of election. This is just for the the few weeks of the election. This is during the campaign period. They gave them $300 million. Now, outside of the campaign period, they give them even more. So over the course of the year. Now, let's compare that to the amount of money that the UIC has for the entire year. For the entire year, last year, we received from you, all of you out there that are donating to the UIC, you gave us a whopping $6 million. Watch me now, 6 million. Let's do the math here, Vincenzo, because we like to do math. So we're going to take $300 million, 300 million, and we're going to divide that by $6 million. I want to make sure we get the math right. That's 50 times. So the JLP and PNP had 50 times the amount of money we had. Now, when you see them driving up and down in open back SUVs and Jeeps, and when you see them with all kind of things to give out or to show, that's because they have the money to do it. When Vincenzo Crawford goes on a project for the UIC, so he goes to work and he gets his small paycheck, and then now he needs to go to something for the UIC, go do something. He has to find his own gas.
Mm-hmm.
He has to take time away from his small side hustle that he's doing. So when he's not doing his side hustle, to sell his perfumes or whatever he sells, that time is lost to him doing something for the UIC. The gas is lost, and the wear and tear on his vehicle is happening, and all the other stuff, right? And maybe he's using phone credit and data and so on, like he's doing now. Right now he's on this program. He has to use the data on his phone, which he's paying for to be here. Mm-hmm. All of us have to do that. So the little $6 million, let us bear with me, Mr. Crawford. The $6 million, let's take that $6 million, Jamaican, and we're going to divide that 6 million by 365 days a year. So the UIC is operating on $16,438 a month. Sorry, a day.
It's a day.
16,000 a day. Now let's do the math for the other two parties. So 300 million we're taking, and we're going to divide that by not a year, because they got that just for a few weeks of election. So we're going to divide that by, let's say, 5 5 is 25. So they are spending $12 million a day.
Mm.
$12 million a day. Yeah.
Let it sink in.
Let that sink in. So they get to spend. So where do you, Miss Kildare, where do we then now have the UIC? Like when any one of us in the UIC go out, it's at our expense. And the small amount of donation that we have. So for example, we're having the rally now. The rally, we have to pay $25,000 for the venue. We had to argue with them because they wanted to charge us $71,000 while they would charge a church $25,000. We argued with them and get them to give us a discount down to $52,000. And we said, why does a church get $25,000 when we have to pay $52,000? And so fortunately, some churches came to our rescue, particularly Peter Chambers came to our rescue because he wants to see the UIC succeed. So his church step up and say, we will come forward and take the venue for this movement. And so Peter Chambers came forward and he stepped forward for the venue for this movement. Okay. And then now we have to find another $26,000 to pay to KCC for nothing at all, just to pay them for them to say it's okay for you to have your function. And then we have to go to the police, spend time. Miss Powell, VP Powell, has to leave her work and drive up and down and go to get the police to approve something, and she has to go to KCC to get the stuff paid. And Miss Naika is on the phone with them, and Mr. Winston, right, the chairman, is on the phone, and it took 3 weeks to get the wonderful venue sorted out. That's if you add up all the time of Winston, Naika, Mrs. Patterson, Miss Powell, VP Johnson Brown, all the time they spend trying to do that. Now, if the PNP called, yeah, we want the venue, bam, done. GLP called, we want the venue, bam, done. But with us now, because we are anathema, we shouldn't exist. We get all kinds of pressures. And so we're operating on $16,000 a day with a whole heap of pressures and stress on our time. Now, to buy sound system, to pay for the transportation of persons and lunch and whatever for the entertainers and stuff like that, and to pay for advertisement and flyers and whatever, all of that completely wipes out the little money that's in the budget. So after we finish this event, there's no money left for the next event. We have to wait again and beg and say, please, guys.
And build again.
So we can't do like them, We can't just jump up and have bus and everything and start to go around the island. We have to wait and save up little money. So we have to say, guys, remember to give you $10 a month or your $25 a month. Anybody can donate, and you have people like, Leighton Reed who will give $100 or Keith Romans $100 or, different people, Clive Patterson, Emma Gordon, Elsa, and John, and people give. And that is how, but we, unlike them, we have to save up the money, Mr. Crawford. We have to save up. We can't just spend this month. We have to wait and then look for what is the most opportune thing to do. What can we do that will be the best expenditure of the little bit of money that we have gotten? While the other guys, money is not an option. Money is not an issue.
They're very frivolous with it.
They can do
very
anything.
Frivolous.
They can say, hey, let's go up a Mona. Hey, let's go up a Papine. Hey, let's go over Montego Bay. They can do whatever they want because, remember, the PSOJ oligarch want them to win. The PSOJ oligarch wants the Jamaican people to vote either JLP or PNP because the PSOJ oligarchs knows that because they own these two parties, no matter which one you vote for, they will still be in charge. But if the UIC should ever be elected, the gravy train is done. Because if the UIC is elected, them not own we, you own we. You, the people, own we. So if we're elected, we're not answerable to them. We're now 100%. Look at it logically. Let's say we win the next election. Where do we get money from to win the election after that? If we shun the PSOJ oligarchs and they're funding their two horses, and we appeal to you, the people, and you fund us, if we fail you, you now fund us again for the next election. You follow me? So it means then that we are bounded up with the people. We're tied to the people, while those other two are tied to they can tell you anything because the next election they will get their $300 million from the PSOJ oligarchs.
I want to tell you that the people are not even recognizing that the amount of money that the other two political parties spend on election can actually be plugged into fixing every single inner lane roads in Jamaica and left change to feed those who are poor.
Yep.
Just them campaign money. Just think about that. You understand? You're probably worried about we live on a lane that is very rocky. The liquor short lane, just so short liquor lane, yeah, and it literally knock out front end. And I can promise you, there are many lanes like that we see leading to people's houses. Yeah, where people even don't want to come where they.
Mr. Crawford,
You understand? With them car, them park
do
out
you
the road.
realize that no matter what happens in Jamaica, no matter how much PNP or JLP tell you to ban your belly, you're how old are you? What's your age group roughly? What's your age? Yeah, what's your age group? Roughly, what's your age group?
My age group? I don't want to disclose the age group.
Okay, so I am 52. I am 52. Right. So I've lived on this planet now. I've lived in this I've lived on this planet, and I've been a Jamaican for 52 years. If I look at the history of the country over my 52 years, right, and I compare that to the PSOJ oligarchs, When my mother was suffering and we lived in a little one-room house, no bathroom, no kitchen, no dining room, no nothing, just one-room house with a stove in it, a bed in it, a fridge in it, and we lived in that. And my mother a suffer, and the PNP said to her, "Ban your belly and work with we. We're going to fix things." And my mother go out there and campaign and help to elect the PNP. And then the GLP come in and the GLP tell the people, "Ban your belly. We're going to fix this. Deliverance is here." And our people have been banning their belly. Teachers have been told salary freeze until such time. Police officers, salary freeze until such time. But every one of those years, the PSOJ oligarchs always had big profits. Even in the heights of COVID, when we were shut down and suffering, they reported multi-billion dollars in profits. Why? Because they weren't shut down. The small man in the corner shop, he was shut down. The small woman with her business, she was shut down. The round robins, they were shut down. Anything at all for the small man was shut down. The cruise ships, they could come in. The big hotels, they could open. But
Right. That was a huge slap to the Jamaican people's
so
face.
everything in this country, the small man is always the last man. Always the last man. You watch carefully. And so these two parties, even though they tell us how much they love the poor, how much they care about the poor, how much they mean the poor well, they never ever actually work for the poor. Even if they give you a program and say this program is for the poor, like NHT, it is a trick. It is a program that they'll use to either suck money out of the poor and then rape that money from the trust fund to do something else, or they'll make a few people in the middle class area or the middle income area look good, but the vast majority won't qualify. 75% of contributors to the NHT will never qualify. So even if the program sounds good, and even if some of you may have benefited, like my mother eventually got a piece of wall out of what she thinks is politics. You know, she got a plot of land in Seaview Gardens with one wall put up, and she for the rest of her life she will thank Michael Manley. Is Manley why me get this? Is PNP why me? She couldn't see that the society should not have been built for her to depend on politicians to give her, a piece of wall. She should have been able to see her way. Like when you go to the USA, you don't go to the USA and ask any politician to give you a wall. You go there and you work and you can buy your own car, you can buy your own house, you can build your own, you can pay for your education. Why in Jamaica everything must tie to the politician? It must be because of PNP why we get this, or because of GLP. Why we can't just get this because we're Jamaicans? Because our government has
Because we work for it.
we have built a system where we can earn and pay for what we want. So here's the plan. You will never find the PSOJ oligarchs losing. It's always you. And the reason why you always lose is because the two parties are always working for the PSOJ oligarchs. So the PSOJ will do everything possible to nice it up. Even when you hear them come out and saying, "Oh, the government should do this," or they're just like Andrew. They're talking out of two sides of their mouths. You understand? They might come with a soft-spoken Mark, but it's to trick you. They might come with a sweet-looking Lisa, but it's to trick you. They might come with a dynamite Crawford, but it's to trick you. They might come with young Andrew and say, "Young people time now." It's to trick you. No matter what they come with, it's always an attempt to trick you into trusting them one more time. That's why they say time come. Because what is it? It's now time come now for the PNP turn. In the past, they used to say PNP time now. And that's all. They take turns at the trough, at raping your tax coffers, stealing your wealth, and at the same time giving you nice slogans and nice campaign ads while you are getting poorer and them and their few rich elites are actually getting richer.
Yeah, you pretty much said most of what I would have actually plugged into there. I was smiling on the live a while ago because I don't know why other persons take Sonia to be, but I kind of find her funny. You know what I mean? It's kind of funny, her comments. You know what I mean? But because she heard $6 million, and then she's like, we mentioned the $6 million to come to encapsulate views and all that stuff. I'm sorry to be paying so much attention to her because
Because she
but
wants you
it's
to.
hard to help it. And
Listen,
then
she
she said
wants you
that it
to.
can fix roads. I mean, like how much roads in Jamaica can $6 million fix?
Come on.
It seems
These
as if
are,
she would
listen,
not have any concept of Jamaican dollars. You know what I mean? But we've
Sonia is
overstayed.
playing.
Pardon me?
She's playing you. She's playing you.
Right, right, right.
You
So
know,
that's what I
somebody
find
said
it
it.
funny.
Somebody said it earlier. Her goal is to distract. That's her goal. Her goal is to distract people right
Yeah,
now, and she has succeeded because we're talking about her. But
right, right,
we
right.
need to move on. I mean, but
So
anyways,
we,
sometimes what she says is something to talk about. So for
mhm,
example,
mhm.
she's saying right that
I
six
think
million
she's the
dollars.
reason why we're on the live so long, because we're supposed to end in 20 minutes, 30
Yeah.
minutes. Yeah, but so I appreciate her for that because we did get a lot of points out. So
Mhm.
thanks, nevertheless, Sonia Ellis, and thanks to everybody else who are on the live. You
Yeah.
understand? We've come to. Would you agree that we've come to?
Yeah, we have come to the end, and we just
Yeah.
want to say to all of you here, the UIC is your party. Please, I want you to understand that this is your movement. We're doing our best. We're putting it all on the line. I'm a very, listen, Sir Crawford, I'm a very, very unfortunate and fortunate Jamaican, meaning from where I am coming from, the poverty I was born into, and I'm no longer in it. And I thank God that I've been able to extricate myself from that. But when I see, I live in a community. Where I live right now. I live in a place called on the border of Elam and Bogue. It's pure poor people live here for the most part. There are few persons who might be in a marginally higher income, but the vast majority of the people in my community are poor. When I just drive down the road, just within 1 minute of my house, when I drive down the road, I'm going to see persons who are living under distressful conditions. I'm going to see persons who are yearning for a better life, and I can't help them personally. I can't, there's no way I could find enough resources to deal with even 1% of the economic challenges that surround me. The only way I see where I can help them is if I make Jamaica into a properly governed country where it will be safe enough, clean enough, orderly enough so that business can thrive, so that the people have the education they need, the healthcare they need, the housing they need, and get back the land that was stolen from them so that they can grow. I cannot personally dip into my pocket and meet the needs of them, nor can you. All of us on the National Executive Council, all of us, all the 6,000 plus persons in the UIC cannot do it. But we, the people, if we decide to take back our country, we can do it. And that is why we always end our broadcast by saying, one Jamaica, let's do it together. One
One
Jamaica,
Jamaica,
stronger together.
stronger together.
That's why. And if we come together and see ourselves as one, recognizing that we can no longer be PNP or JLP, green or orange. We now need to be united so that we can be strong and we can be free. Thank you very much, my fellow Jamaicans. Thank you, Mr. Crawford, for being here. And I look forward to seeing everyone, online or in person at our rally on the 10th of June, 4 p.m., Mandela Park. One Jamaica, stronger together. Take care.
All right, take care, everybody. And I've been your host, Vincenzo Crawford on UIC Liberty TV. Take good care.
Good night.